Hello everyone and welcome back to Tinderloss Gaming and welcome to episode 2 of my solo scenario Shennangins playthrough. If you've watched episode 1, you'll be knowing that I'm taking Jacqueline Fine and Zoey Samaras through some of the standalone scenarios from Fantasy Flight, in particular obviously the Arkham Horror living card game. Fantasy Flight produced a whole load of standalone scenarios that you can use to put into campaigns, but I'm playing through true solo. So although I'm playing 2 investigators, I'm only actually playing 1 investigator at a time. And the previous episode was Jacqueline, or as I call her, Jackie, taking on Curse of the Rougarou. Now it's Zoe's turn. So let's get across and have a look at the deck that I'm going to be using for Zoe. So this is Zoe's deck that I'm going to be using. Zoey Samaras is a guardian. She's got 4 will, 2 intellect, 4 fight, and 2 agility. And so she's a fighter. She's not really that much of a clue gatherer, although she can do pretty well on her own. She has a reaction that after an enemy engages with her, you can gain a resource. And her special is that if a skill test is successful during an attack, then you can deal +1 damage. She's got 9 health, so she's pretty healthy. Sanity's not so good with 6, but we'll see how that comes into play. So her deck, I'll put a link in the description below to the Arkham DB deck list that I've put together. This is one that I've mucked around with. As I previously said in my other video, I don't have access to the entire card library that Fantasy Flight have done, so I'm playing with what I've got. So each of the investigators that I'm using, I'm giving them 18 or 19 experience just to sort of replicate that they've been through a little bit of a campaign and just to sort of spice things up a little bit, really. So Zoe's got 18 experience that she's spent of the 19, which means that she has got an additional weakness. So what's in her deck? Well, fairly standard. We've got the machete, which is a one-handed weapon. It's got a fight, +1 fight for this attack. And if it's the only enemy engaged with us, then we deal +1 damage. Pretty standard. I've spent 2 XP on 2 copies, so 4 XP in total, on butterfly swords. Thought they looked quite cool. As an action, you get fight, +1 fight for the attack, and then you can exhaust butterfly swords to fight again using and adding your agility skill, and it also does +1 damage. So you could be doing 3 damage with that if you're successful. Then for more fun, I've given her the sledgehammer, which is obviously a guardian and survivor card, costs 3. One action, I get -1 fight and deal +1 damage. And then for 2 actions, I get +2 fight and deal +2 damage. So this is going to be sort of trying to take out some big baddies. For fun, again, I've also put a couple of copies of Elder Sign in there, which gives me +4 sanity, just to try and shore up her sanity issues. Then we've got Zoe's Cross, which is obviously a Zoey Samaras deck only. After I become engaged with an enemy, I can exhaust her, spend a resource, and deal 1 damage. Let's see where their special comes in with that. Because I've got Sledgehammer and a number of weapons, I've put Bandolier in there, which means we get an additional weapon slot, which is really cool. Then we've got 2 copies of Beat Cop, the standard version. He's got as a reaction or as a free action, can discard him to deal 1 damage to an enemy, and he's got 2 health, 2 sanity. So again, a bit of a sanity shore up. Then for some clue gathering, we've got Evidence, which is after I defeat an enemy, is fast. I can discover a clue at the location. On the Hunt. Fast, play when you withdraw an encounter card during the Mythos phase. Instead, search the top 9 cards of an encounter deck for an enemy and spawn it. Good for us getting out of a pickle to get some clues if needed. On the trail, that costs 3 XP. Choose an enemy at any location other than yours. Move twice towards that enemy. Discover 1 clue at each location you enter by this effect. That could be quite handy in this scenario. If you've watched the previous game. Then we've got prepared for the worst. Search for a weapon. Top 9 cards. Add it to our deck. Then we've got scene of the crime. Play only as your first action. Discover 1 clue at your location, 2 clues if there is an enemy at your location and it doesn't provoke attacks of opportunity. Then we've got work in a hunch. Fast. Play only during your turn. Straightforward. Discover a clue at your location. We've got inquiring mind. Commit to a skill test if there is a clue at your location. So that's quite handy for investigating and also hitting enemies. It's got 3 wild icons on it. Then we've got 1 vicious blow standard. We deal +1 damage. Then we've got 1 vicious blow upgraded, and it does +1 damage, +2 if it succeeds, if the test succeeds by 2 or more. And there's our treacheries there as well. So that is Zoey Samaras' deck. I'll, like I say, put a link in the description. Go over and have a look and see what you think, and we'll see how it pans out against the Rougarou. So let's go across now and see what the current status of the playthroughs are. So here we go. This is just my own little tracker to keep a sort of like for a bit of fun, really, just to see where we are. So we played one scenario with Jackie, which was Curse of the Rougarou. She won it, and she got 1 XP out of it, and she done it in 13 rounds. So Jackie's put a line in the sand for Zoey to see where she gets to, see what happens, and we can get across to the table now and finish off the setting up of the Curse of the Rougarou. Okay, here we are across at the table, all ready to go. So a few things we need to do to get the game set up. So first of all, let's have a look at what we're doing. So the scenario details, let's read those so we know what we're doing. It says, terror grips New Orleans. Minnie Klein, your contact at the Arkham Advisor, had slipped you a draft of the article over a cup of coffee at Velma's Diner. It would have gone to print had Doyle Jeffries, the lead editor, not scoffed at the concept. I believe his exact words were, "I ain't printing the Ravens and some voodoo lunatic and passing it off as news," she explained to you. From the sly grin spreading across her face, you could tell she smelled a story. The headline was sensationalist. 3 killings in 9 days was enough to spook a town for sure. But you doubt all of New Orleans is gripped by terror or even knows about the killings. Still, something piqued your interest. Lady of Spirit, the voodoo priestess from the article, claimed that a malign curse had taken root in the bayou. There's something to this, isn't there? I know that look, Minnie said. You weren't sure. If Lady of Spirit was right, this Rougarou wouldn't stop at killing 3, that's for sure. But curses? Wolf people? How could such things be real? The only way to find out, you put on your coat and head for the North Side Station. So there we go. That's sort of setting us up for the game. I'll come back to the agendas and acts in a second. So let's finish getting set up. So it says, gather all cards from the following encounter sets: Curse of the Rougarou and the Bayou. These sets are indicated by the following icons, which we've got. Set the Curse of the Rougarou encounter set outside of play, which is what I've done. They're over there. Sort each of the locations into 4 piles. 1, 2, 3, 4. Randomly choose one of these piles and remove those locations from the game. So I've got a D8 here, so that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And we have got 4. 3, 4. So Cursed Shores is going to go completely. Randomly choose another one of these piles and put those locations into play. So we'll move to a D6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 4. 4. So we're going to start at the brackish waters. So these ones are going to be out of play for the time being. and we set these up. That's the bayou location. These are like a little triangle. So we'll use our little counters. I've played this a few times now. So that goes there. That's connected to there. And those are connected to there. Excellent. Oh, a little bit on the wall. There we go. There we go. Each investigator begins play at the bayou location. So we're going to be... So he's going to start there. Set the following cards aside out of play. Lady of Spirit, she's there. Bear Trap and Fishing Net are all there as well. Shuffle the remainder of the encounter deck to build the... shuffle the remainder of the encounter cards to build the encounter deck. So this is what we've got left here. There we go. They're shuffled. Ready to go. We've got our deck over here. We'll shuffle those on camera as well. You might be able to see there's a little tracking item at the bottom of the page there. I'm giving myself a little bit of a goal. I've got 132 subscribers on the channel at the moment, and I've given myself 6 months to get that to 500. So if you're enjoying my content and liking what I'm doing, I'd really appreciate it if you could subscribe and try and let me hit my goal in 6 months. That'd be really cool. Give those a good old shuffle. They are shuffled. So that's our deck sorted. Oh. Right, let's do that again. There we go. Sorted. Take that deck away. So let's have a look at the... first of all, let's have a look at Agenda 1A. Agenda 1A says, after arriving in New Orleans the next day, you start your investigation by asking the locals what they know about the recent killings. As you suspected, most know very little of the incidences. You do manage to find several eyewitnesses who give similar descriptions of the creature, its lithe, muscular, lanky arms and wolf-like visage. A promising start, but if there's any truth to the rumours about this curse, you'll have to talk to Lady Spirit herself. And it's got a trigger of 5 doom, so we'll wait and see what happens when that triggers. And then we've got Act 1A, which is finding Lady Spirit. According to your contact, Lady Spirit is a voodoo priestess who lives deep within the bayou. Most tend to stay clear of her lonely shack. After all, the bayou can be a dangerous place, even were it not for the recent rash of savage killings. Objective: only investigators at a bayou location may spend the requisite number of clues as a group to advance, and we need 1 clue because we are playing true solo. So there we go. That's our act sorted out. We've got our resources. We've got 5. We've got our actions. We've got Zoey in play. We've got our little token down here to keep a track of when she's done her special. So without further ado, I believe we are ready to start. We've got the chaos bag all sorted. Hopefully it's going to be nice and kind. We'll give it a go and see where we get to. So we've shuffled our cards. We're going to draw 5 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Looking for a weapon, obviously. Prepared for the worst. Scene of the crime. Working a hunch will definitely keep. Inquiring mind and perception. Well, I think we're going to ditch, other than working a hunch, we're going to ditch inquiring mind. We're going to ditch perception. We're going to ditch scene of the crime. And we're going to ditch prepared for the worst. So we draw another 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, we've got bandolier, we've got machete, we've got inquiring mind, and we've got prepared for the worst. Okay, we've got a weapon, we've got bandolier. That's pretty good. Take that. Give these a shuffle again. There we go. Cat weasel cut. And we are ready to rock and roll. We are ready to put... ooh, let's just reset some of this stuff. We've got a little tracker upstairs. Let me just pause for a second. Right, we've just reset our stats up in the top left-hand corner there. So you can see we've got 9 health, we've got 6 sanity, we've got 5 resources. We're now on round 1. We've got 0 clues and we've got 0 on the doom. We are in the investigation phase. First round of the game, you don't do a mythos phase. We'll come to that in a bit. So let's flip over brackish waters and see what we get. We've got, it's a 1 shroud location, 0 clues on it. While you're at brackish waters, you cannot play assets. Oh, lovely. Action, discard 2 assets from your hand or from play. Test 3 agility to wade through the dark waters and retrieve an abandoned fishing net. If you succeed, take control of the set-aside fishing net. Well, I don't necessarily think we're going to do that. Right, so let's grab me cards so I know what I'm doing. So, action 1 for Zoe. We're going to move to one of these riverside locations here. Having played this scenario before, I know one of them has got a clue on it and one hasn't, but we're going to randomise it. So we're going to get the good old dice out. 1 to 3 here, 4 to 6 here. 3. So we're going to come here. So Zoe's going to move to this riverside location. It is the one with the clue. Excellent. Auburn Park, 3 shroud, 1 clue. Forced. When you evade an enemy abandoned Auburn Park, discard a random card from your hand. It's got a victory of 1 on it, so that's good. So that's that. Let's put a clue on this so we know what we're doing. So that was Zoe's first action. Second action, she's going to pay 2. So she's going to go down to 3 resources to play Working a Hunch. Fast. Play only during your turn. Discover 1 clue at your location. So she gets the clue. Third action. Whilst we're at Auburn Park, we're going to pay 3. So third action, paying the 3. Just to get us set up for when the inevitable enemies spawn. We're going to play a machete. That takes us down to 0 resources. And that is the end of Zoe's go. So we're then going to move on to the enemy phase. There are no enemies in play, so we don't need to worry about that. We then move on to the upkeep phase. Upkeep phase says reset all actions. So we're going to get our actions back. We're going to ready any exhausted cards. We've got none to ready. We're going to draw a card. So we're going to draw our card. We're going to get Inquiring Mind. Play only if there's a clue at your location. So we've got 2 of those in our hand now. We're going to gain a resource. So we're going to go back up to 1. We check our hand size. Maximum of 8. We've got 4. So we're all good. And that is it for the upkeep phase. We move into round 2. We go to the mythos phase. We're going to put a doom on the agenda, 1 of 5. We're going to check to see if the agenda advances. It doesn't because we haven't fit the 5 threshold. And then we're going to draw our encounter card, which is going to be Dragged Under. Test agility 3. If you fail, add Dragged Under to your threat area. So I'm agility 2. I've got prepared for the worst, doesn't have an agility. Bandolier doesn't have an agility, and we can't play inquiring mind because there's no clues on our location. I hate dragged under, but hey ho. So we are going 2 against 3. And we are going to get... How's the chaos bag being today? -5. There we go. That's how the chaos bag is being today. So dragged under is going to be drawn into our area. I'll put it there so I know what I'm doing. Actually, let's just put it there so I know that's ours. It says forced. When you leave your location, take 2 damage and discard dragged under. That's annoying, that one. Anywho, we can't do a lot about that. We come out of the mythos phase, we go into the investigation phase. First action, we are going to move back to the brackish water, which means that dragged under comes into play. When we leave it, we're going to start it and take 2 damage. So she's going to go down to 7. So that's discarded. So she goes down to 7 health. That was her first action. Then what we're going to do is we are going to look at Act 1, which says only investigators at a bayou location may spend the requisite number of clues as a group to advance. We're going to spend the 1 clue. It's not an action to do this. So we're going to spend the 1 clue to do that. And we're going to flip agenda 1A to 1B, which says... Finding Lady Spirit's shack is no simple endeavour, but eventually you spot the decrepit shanty through the mist. Lady Spirit greets you as you enter, not at all surprised by your intrusion. She claims that the Rougarou was once a man, cursed by a being known as Shub-Nagrath, into a form of a great wolf. She believes that she can lift the Rougarou's curse from the bayou, but only if the creature is destroyed. Put the set aside Lady Spirit into play at a bayou location. Put into play each set aside location. Put the set aside Rougarou enemy into play at any non-bayou location. Shuffle the encounter discard pile into each encounter card from the curse of the Rougarou encounter set into the encounter deck. Then it says the lead investigator, which is me. As you leave Lady Spirit's shack, a terrible sickness courses through you, and you drop to your knees. The lead investigator puts the set-aside Curse of the Rougarou weakness into play into his or her threat area. Okay, right, so we've got a fair amount of stuff to do there. I'm going to pause, as I did in the previous game. For you, a matter of milliseconds. For me, a little bit of time setting up. I'll be right back once I've set everything up. Okay, there we go. We're all set up. We've put our 2 other bayou locations into play, and they're in little triangles as well. So the foul swamp and the unhallowed lands are all like connected, and they are connected to brackish water. We've got a marsh as a triangle as well, all connected, and also we've got a marsh and foul swamp are connected as well. We put Lady of Spirit into play in the middle one there, at the brackish water, where Zoey is. We've got the Curse of the Rougarou encounter deck. Has all been shuffled in. I will shuffle it on screen. I've just been spending a few minutes shuffling it all in, but I'll do it just so we can't say there's any shenanigans. So that's that sorted. Curse of the Rougarou comes into play in my area, and that says Revelation. Put it into play in your threat area. At the end of your turn, if you've not dealt any damage this turn, take 1 horror. This card is an absolute nightmare for me. It's one of my bogey cards. That'll probably come back to bite me, that. Right, hopefully not too difficult with Zoey, but enemies in this game are not common. They come out, they do come out, but they're not overly common. So the final thing I wanted to do on camera is place the Rougarou, because we've got to place it in a non-bayou location. Let's just read what it says just to make sure. Yeah. Put the set-aside Rougarou enemy into play at any non-bayou location. So I'm going to do, as I do with these trying games, try not to be too gamey about it, because if I was being gamey about it, I could just put him in or Alberton Park or Riverside here, rather than over there. But why make things easy for yourself? So let's randomize it. So first of all, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We'll see what area who is going to. 3, actually, 2, 3 was here, and then we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 3. So he's going to go to Alberton Park. I've done that on camera. It's randomised. We're going to put the Rougarou in play at that location, which works out quite nicely. Well, it doesn't. Does it? Does it? It possibly could do. Now, the Rougarou, let's have a look at him. He's a 3 fight. He's a 5 health for us. He's got 3 evade. He's aloof, which means I have to engage him to attack him. Retaliate, and there's an additional cost for an investigator to engage the Rougarou. The investigator must spend 1 clue as a group. Forced after he takes 1 damage during a single phase, find a location that's furthest from the investigators and move him 1 at a time until he enters that location. You'll see that as we play through the game. But the important thing there, a couple of important things. First of all, he's aloof, which means we need to spend an action to engage him. But also, we need, as an additional cost, we need to spend a clue. And as you will see, actually, it's probably worked out worse for us thinking about it, because we've got to go and find some clues. I know there are no clues in Riverside because I've played this scenario before. So I'm going to have to go to either the Forgotten Marsh or the Foul Swamp to see what we can get. So let's go clue hunting for our second action. So second action, we're going to move and we're going to go to the Foul Swamp here, which means that is 2 shroud, 0 clues. Whilst you're in the Foul Swamp, you cannot heal horror or cancel horror. You can take 3 horror, test will of 7 to search the boneyard, and you get +1 will for the test for each horror taken as part of this ability's cost. If you succeed, remember the investigators have found an ancient binding stone. Well, again, her will isn't great. I mean, it's 4, so that's not too bad, but we're not really concerned about that at the moment. What we're concerned about is getting clues. So that was her second action. Third action, she's going to move to one of these unhallowed lands. And let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Number 2. So third and final action, she's going to move into the unhallowed land. And that is going to be... That is the clue. 2 shroud, 1 clue. After you end your turn at a ritual grounds, draw 1 card and take 1 horror. Oh, that's annoying. That's annoying. So first of all, let's put the clue on there. That was our third and final action. So we are ending our turn there. So we draw a card and take 1 horror. So we draw a card, which is Sledgehammer. Very nice. But we do take 1 horror. So we're down to 5. Curse of the Rougarou also kicks in at the end of your turn. If you've not dealt damage this turn, take 1 horror. So we are down to 4 horror already. 4 sanity. Sorry, 4 sanity. Ouch. So we need to get the hell out of the ritual grounds. So that was it for the investigation phase. We move on to the enemy phase. Now, the Rougarou is not a hunter or anything like that. He is just going to be chilling out at Alberton Park, minding his own business until he gets a sledgehammer to the face from Zoey. There's no other enemies in play, so we don't need to worry about that. And then we're going to move to the upkeep phase. We're going to reset our actions. We are going to ready any exhausted cards. We don't need to worry about that. We draw a card, which is going to be Perception. And also we're going to gain a resource. So we're going to go up to 2 resources. How much is Sledgehammer? Sledgehammer is 3. So again, slightly might be a bit of a setup turn I need to do some damage. Curse of the Rougarou is going to take me out. Okay. We check our hand size. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're okay. We're all good. So that's the end of the upkeep phase. We're going to go into round 3. We're going to go into the mythos phase. We are going to put a doom on the agenda. 2 of 3. We're all good. That doesn't flip yet. We're going to draw our encounter card. On the prowl. Search. Find a non-bayou location with the fewest clues. Move the Rougarou 1 location at a time until he enters that location. Well, that's got no clues on it. That's got no clues on it. And those have got no clues on it. So again, in the spirit of non-gaminess, we'll do a randomization. So this area 1 to 2, 3 to 4, 5 to 6. 4, which is going to be this one. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So let's just move the Rougarou, just so it's changed the game state to there. He could have stayed there, but we'll move him to there. But it does have Surge on it, so we're going to draw another card. Cursed Swamp. Test 3 will. For each point you fail, take 1 damage. If you're in a bayou location, you cannot commit cards to this skill test. Alrighty. Okay. So, what do we got? We have got Inquiring Mind. We have got a clue at our location. So we're going to play Inquiring Mind, which gives us 3 plus 3 to it. So we are 7 against 4. 7 against 4. 7 against 4, and we are going to get an auto fail. A -5 and an auto fail so far from the chaos bag. We take a damage. We take a damage. We're down to 6. Inquiring Mind was a waste of time. Cursed Swamp goes. That's how this game is going to go. We move on to the investigation phase. First of all, we're going to play Inquiring Mind to investigate. We're also going to play a Perception. So we're at 2 intellect normal, 5 with Inquiring Mind, and then 7 with Perception. So we're at 7 versus 2. 7 versus 2. 0. There we go. Finally. So that was our first action. We get the clue. Oh, didn't take my clue off, so I'll leave that there. We draw a card because we were successful for Perception. We get a Beat Cop. Very handy. Very handy indeed. So that was our first action. Second action is to move from the ritual grounds to the foul swamp. So that's our second action. Third action, we're going to move to the brackish waters and have another little chat with Lady of Spirit. That's pretty good. No, we'll stay at the brackish waters, I think. So that's it for the investigation phase. We go on to the enemy phase. Rougarou stays where he is. No problem at all. We then move on to the upkeep phase. We reset our actions. Ready any exhausted cards. We draw a card. Scene of the crime. Play only as your first action. Discover a clue at your location. That will come in handy later. We gain a resource, so we're up to 3. We check our hand size. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're all good. We move out of the upkeep phase. We go into round 4. We go into the mythos phase. And then we go and put the doom on the agenda. We're at 3 of 5. Oh, Curse of the Rougarou. Apologies. Always forget about that. I didn't do any damage this turn, so I'm down to 3 horror. I think that's gonna adjust what I do. Anyway, I'll come back to that in a second. So we don't trip the agenda because that's 3 of 5. We draw our encounter card, which is Marsh Gug. Spawn at any bayou location. Hunter. Got 3 fight, 4 health, and 3 agility. Now, I am going to spawn it. I'm going to spawn it at my location. There's a reason for that. So I'll spawn it at my location. It comes into play with Zoey. I will tap Zoey because she's become engaged with an enemy. I'll gain a resource. So I'm up to 4. And I believe that's it for the mythos phase. We go into the investigation phase. Now, first action, we're going to fight the Marsh Gug with the machete. So I'm currently a fight of 5 versus 3. I will chuck a prepared for the worst in there, which gives me +1. So that's 6 versus 3. 6 versus 3. I don't really want to chuck anything else in. So we're going 6 versus 3. 6 versus 3. -3. 6 versus 3. We do +1 damage to it because it's the only enemy engaged with us. We do 2 damage to the Marsh Gug. Second action is to fight. We're at 5 versus 3 now. Do I want to? Yeah, I think I do because I want to kill it. We're going to chuck a scene of the crime in to give us +1. So 6 versus 3 again. 6 versus 3. Yes. Yes, indeedy. There we go. Boom. +1. If the skill test is successful during an attack, this attack deals +1 damage. So we're doing 3 damage to the Marsh Gug, which kills it. So 3 damage. That was our second action. More importantly, we have done damage this turn. So Curse of the Rougarou doesn't come into play. And then for my third action, I'm going to pay 4 to play Beat Cop. Beat Cop becomes a target of the Curse of the Rougarou. So that's our 4 resources used. We're down to 0. And that was our third and final action. We move out of the investigation phase. We move into the enemy phase. The Rougarou is still chilling out down there in the riverside. So we don't need to worry about that. We've killed the Marsh Gug. And also, as I've said, we've done damage this turn. So we don't have to take horror from the Curse of the Rougarou. We move into the upkeep phase. We ready our actions. We ready any exhausted cards. We draw a card. Here we go. Internal injury. Put it into plan your threat area. At the end of your turn, take 1 direct damage. 2 actions to discard it. Here we go. That's out. We get our resource, so we go back up to 1. That's it for the upkeep phase. We move into turn 5. We go into the mythos phase. We add a doom on. So we're at 4 doom of 5. So that's going to be ticking along quite soon. And we're going to draw our encounter card, which is Dragged Under. Right, test 3 agility. If you fail, add it to our threat area. I'm agility 2. I've got nothing I can chuck in against it. So it's 2 for us, 3 for that. -6. We absolutely fail. So dragged unders in our threat area. Okie dokie. We move on to the investigation phase. This is annoying. So first 2 actions are to get rid of internal injury. Third action, is gain a resource. So we're up to 2. We'll do that by Lady of Spirit as an action. We'll tap her. We'll put a horror on her. We'll actually gain 2 resources. Lady of Spirit. A second, I can show you. As an action, exhaust Lady of Spirit and deal her 1 horror. Heal 2 damage or gain 2 resources. Any investigator at Lady of Spirit's location may activate this ability. So we'll gain the 2 resources for the time being. We'll put the horror on her. She's got 4, so she's quite a nice little addition. Now we didn't do damage that turn, so poor old Beat Cop is going to get 1 horror on him from the Curse of the Rougarou. It's not direct horror, so we can put it on. We can put it on the good old Beat Cop. And that's it for our investigation phase. We move on to the enemy phase. No enemies in play other than the Rougarou. We move on to the upkeep phase. We ready any cards. So Lady of Spirit's gonna ready. That's gonna come back. We're gonna get our actions back. We are gonna draw a card, which is Scene of the Crime, which is handy. We're gonna gain a resource, so we're up to 4. And that's it for the upkeep phase. Check our hand size. We've only got 3 cards. We're good. Come out of the upkeep phase. We go into round 6. We go into the mythos phase, and we put a doom on the agenda. Which then we check the agenda, and we have hit the threshold of 5. So let's take all of these off, and we'll read what agenda 1B has to say. 1B. 1B. It says, a violent storm rolls in as your search continues. Black rain clouds can conquer the sky, the air thick with humidity. You recall that all of the recent killings took place late at night under the cover of dark clouds. A shiver runs up your spine and you cannot help but wonder, what if you're next? Shuffle the encounter discard pile into the encounter deck. If the Rougarou is in play, find a non-bayou location with the fewest clues on, move the Rougarou until it enters that location. If the Rougarou is not in play, blah, blah, blah. So, right. Okay, let's bear with. There we go. Right, so we'll turn that over. We'll do 2A in a second. Right, first things first, I've missed something. I missed dragged under at the end of my turn. I should test agility 3 against agility 2. Let's just quickly do that. Agility 2 against 3. See if we discard it. -3. No, we don't discard it. That's fine. That's that done. Now we need to move the Rougarou to the location with the fewest clues on it. So it could be here, could be here, could be here. Let's do the good old randomizing. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1. And it's going to go 1 either here or here. 1 to 3, 5 to 6, 4 to 6. So he's going to move to there, to there, to there. The reason for doing that is because he leaves a clue. Every time he leaves a location, he drops a clue on it. So he's going to drop a little trail of clues there, which is very handy. Right, what does Agenda 2A say? Agenda 2A says the Rougarou feeds. Around you, the bayou feasts. Flesh rips and jaws snap just beyond the trees, and light droplets of rain ripple upon the surface of the water. You can't tell exactly where the sounds are coming from. Perhaps it's the dreadful ambience of the bayou itself. And this has got 6, a threshold of 6 on it. So that's Agenda 1B where we're now working towards. So we were in the Mythos phase. We're now at the point to draw our Mythos encounter card. We're going to get Insatiable Bloodlust. The Rougarou gets +1 fight, +1 damage, +1 horror, and it cannot be evaded. After it takes damage, discard Insatiable Bloodlust. So let's put that underneath and remember he's got that. Right. We move on to the investigation phase. First of all, first action, we're going to pay 2. Play Bandolier. Gives us an additional weapon slot. So we're down to 2 resources. We've got a clue on us. Second action, we're going to move to the Foul Swamp. Now, third action. I'm going to gain a resource. Gain a resource. That's our third action. That's it for the investigation phase. Oh, sorry. Bugger. Apologies. I've been moving stuff around and you've not been able to see anything. Sorry about that. Okay. All right. That was our third action. So we're going to move on now to the enemy phase. No, we're not. We're going to go back to the investigation phase. We're at the end of the investigation phase. First of all, we're going to test for dragged under. Oh, no. We moved. Sorry, getting right confused here. So we moved. So dragged under is going to come off. And we're going to take 2 damage for that. So we'll put 1 on Beat Cop and we'll go down to 5. We'll go down to 5. Then we're going to take a horror because of Curse of the Rougarou. Unfortunately, poor old Beat Cop, I think, is going to have to take that. Don't like to do it to your Beat Cop because you're +1 fight, but we're quite low on horror. So that's it, the investigation phase. We go to the enemy phase. No enemies in play other than the Rougarou, who's just hanging out. And we go to the upkeep phase. We ready our actions. Ready any exhausted cards. We draw a card. God. Obsessive. Put Obsessive into play in your area. Forced. When your turn begins, discard one non-weakness card at random from your hand. 2 actions, discard Obsessive. Oh, that's going to be a nightmare. That's going to be a nightmare. We gain a resource. We check our hand size, which is 2. Okay. We move out of the upkeep phase. We move to turn 7. We move into the Mythos phase. It's 3 sets down to 1. So 1 on the agenda. We're fine. We draw our encounter card. We get On the Prowl. Find a non-bayou location with the fewest clues on it. So we'll do the draw. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's a 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 5. So the Rougarou is going to move down to here. And then we're going to put a clue. It came out of there. It came out of there. It came out of there. And it came out of there. This is becoming tricky. Curse of the Rougarou, I think, is doing for us at the moment. And the Rougarou is being particularly tricky. And that's got Surge as well. On the Prowler's got Surge. So we draw another card. Oh, Dark Young Host. Spawn any bayou location. Forced. When one or more clues are placed on Dark Young Host's location, place the clues on Dark Young Host. Forced. When Dark Young Host is defeated, move all clues on Dark Young Host to its location. Right. Fight of 4, 5 health, and 2 to evade. Five health is the killer. I've got obsessive in play, which means yeah. I'm going to put it at the brackish waters with Lady of Spirit. Is it a non-bayou? Any bayou location, so it's going to come into play at the brackish waters. Okay, that's it for the mythos phase. We go into the investigation phase. Obsessive comes into play. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That one. What is it? Oh, Sledgehammer has gone. Right dear. This game is not going well, ladies and gents. I'm going to have to pay 2 actions to discard obsessive. I can't have that in play. Third action is to move across to the Forgotten Marsh. Which means that's revealed. Forgotten Marsh is 2 shroud, no clues. Forced when you leave Forgotten Marsh, lose 2 resources. Okay. That was our third action. Curse of the Rougarou is coming into the play. At the end of your turn, if you've not dealt any damage, take 1 horror. We are down to 2 horror. We go to the enemy phase. Dark Young Host does not have Hunter, so he's just going to be hanging out at the brackish waters, and Rougarou doesn't have Hunter either, so they're just going to stay where they are. We're going to go to the upkeep phase. We're going to ready any cards. We're going to ready our actions. We're going to draw a card. On the trail, choose an enemy at any location other than yours. Move twice towards that enemy. Discover 1 clue at each location you entered by this effect. Could be useful. That could be useful. We gain a resource, which means we're up to 5. Reset our actions, that's good. We're out of the upkeep phase. We move into round 8. We go into the mythos phase and we add a doom, which is 2 of 6. We draw an encounter card. We're going to get Marshgug. Spawn at any bayou location. No, this time round I want to hit the Rougarou. Let's put him at the foul swamp. Let's put him at the foul swamp. That's it for the mythos phase. We go into the investigation phase. First action is to gonna have to do it. First action is to move out of Forgotten Marsh into the wilderness. Forgotten Marsh comes into play. I lose 2 resources. So I'm down to 3. Down to 3. That was my first action. So wilderness flips over. Twisted underbush. 3 shroud, one clue. As an action, gain 2 resources and take a horror. No thanks. So that comes into play with 1 clue on it. So that's my first action. Second action is to engage the Rougarou. He's now fight 4 because of insatiable bloodlust. Oh, I'll spend my clue, sorry, to engage him. Oops. Spend my clue to engage him. Then we're going to try and hit him. We are going to try and hit him. So I am fight 5 for this. I'm fighting with the machete. So yeah, sorry, second action was to engage him using the clue. Third action is to fight him with the machete. So I'm at 5. 5 versus 4. Going to have to chuck a... Yeah, I want to make sure this lands. I am going to chuck an on the trail in, which is +1. So that takes me to 6th. And I am going to chuck a scene of the crime in to take me to 7. So 7 versus 4 for the Rougarou. Oh, I'll tap Zoey to gain a resource because I became engaged with an enemy, so I'm at 4. So it was 7 versus 4, wasn't it? 4 for here, 5 for here, 6, 7. 7 versus 4. +1. +1. 7 versus 4, and I do +1 damage, and it does. I've checked this and said it in the previous video. The 2 damage does actually go through. So the Rougarou is hit for 2 damage, and then he immediately moves as far away from the investigators as possible. So he's here, and he's going to go 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. It doesn't really matter where he goes on this. So 1 to 3, he'll go in here. 5 to 6, he'll go in here. 3, so he's going to go one of these. 1, which is this one here. So he's going to pop back up to the foul swamp. He's going to pop back to the foul swamp, which means he's left this location. He's left this location. And he's left this location. And that was it for my third action. I did do damage this turn, so Curse of the Rougarou is not going to come into play. And that is it for the investigation phase. We go to the enemy phase. Dark Young is just hanging out in the brackish waters. Rougarou's moved. That's fine. No other enemies in play. Dragged Under was got rid of. Done that. We go to the upkeep phase. We get our actions back. We ready any cards. We draw our card. Butterfly swords. That's quite handy. That's quite handy. We gain a resource, so we're up to 5. We ready our actions, which I've done. We check our hand size, which is 1. Okay, we come out of the upkeep phase. We go into round 9. We go into the mythos phase, and we're going to put a doom on the agenda. So it's 3 of 6. Okay, butterfly swords could be very handy. Okay, we're in the mythos phase. We put the agenda on. We're going to draw our encounter card, which is going to be a bog gator. He comes into play with us. Prey lowest agility when bog gator is in. Oh, we should have reset. We should have reset Zoey. We'll do that. So we'll then tick her because she's become engaged to gain a resource. We're up to 6. Okay. Bog gator is quite handy. Bog gator is quite handy. I know it's going to take us an action to do it. So anyway, let's go to the investigation phase. First thing we're going to do is we're going to try and pound the bog gator. I'm a fight of 5. I'm hitting with the machete. Fight of 5 versus 2. 5 versus 2. -1. +1 damage. We do 2 damage to it. We have Curse of the Rougarou, no problem. Second action. We're going to move to the Forgotten Marsh. Third action. We're going to pay 3 to play Butterfly Swords. We've got Bandolier in place. That's fine. So we're down to 3 resources. We've done damage this turn, so Curse of the Rougarou doesn't hit. Okay. We go into the enemy phase. We're not too worried about things as they stand. We move into the upkeep phase. We get our actions back. Ready any exhausted cards. We draw a card. Oh my god, another weakness. Smite the Wicked. Discard cards from the top of the encounter deck until an enemy is discarded. Attach Smite the Wicked to that enemy and spawn at the location farthest away from you. When the game ends, if attached enemy is in play, you suffer 1 mental trauma. Well, that's really not going to be a problem with the scenarios I'm playing because it's not a campaign, but there we go. We'll do it. So discard cards from the top of the encounter deck until an enemy is discarded. On the Prowl, Spectral Mist, Beast of the Bayou, Bog Gator. Furthest away from us, 1, 2. It's going to be. Let's put it in the unhallowed land. Yeah, her signature weakness isn't really going to affect us too much while I'm playing. So that was the upkeep phase. We move into round 10. We go to the mythos phase. We put a doom on the agenda, which is 4 of 6. And we draw an encounter card, which is Spectral Mist. Attached to a bayou location, each skill test performed at the attached location gets +1 difficulty. Well, I am going to put it at the brackish waters. Let's load the brackish waters up. I don't think we're going to be going back there anytime soon. Okay, we then move on to the investigation phase. Well, we've got to go for it. So 1 action. Oh, we get to reset Zoe's special. One action is to move into the foul swamp, which automatically engages the Mars Gug with us, which means we gain a resource from Zoe's special. We're up to 4. And then we're going to attempt to machete it. So we're at fight 5 against 3. I've got nothing I can chuck in against it. Fight 5 against 3. Come on. 5 against 3. -4. Ouch. Okay. Second action, it hasn't got retaliate. 5 against 3. 5 against 3. 0. Machete does 2 damage to it. Third action, 5 against 3. 5 against 3. +1. Boom. Marsh Gug is dispatched via the machete. Took us virtually all of our turn, but there we go. Curse of the Rougarou doesn't come into play because we've done damage this turn. We move on from the investigation phase to the enemy phase. They're all hanging out. They're all hanging out. Boggate's hanging out. Now, one thing I just wanted to check there: Prey obviously is not Hunter. Effectively, he doesn't move. So Bog Hunter is going to stay there. That's it for the enemy phase. Nothing else is moving. We move on to the upkeep phase. Get our actions back. We ready any exhausted cards. We gain a resource, so we're back up to 5. I'm going to draw a card. Zoe's Cross. Lovely. That's handy. That's it. We check our hand size. We've only got 1 card, so that's good. We move out of the upkeep phase. We go into round 11. We go into Mythos phase. We go and put a Doom. 5 Doom on the agenda. Let's draw our encounter card. Dragged Under. Test agility 3. Test agility 3 versus 2. -4. Dragged Under comes into play in our area. That's not too bad. I can take that. We move out of the Mythos phase. We go into the investigation phase. I need a clue. I need a clue. I'm 2 versus 2. 2 versus 2. Got nothing in my hands. Right. Let's go for an investigation phase. 2 versus 2. For my first action. Not great odds, ladies and gentlemen. It's not great odds. 2 versus 2. And we're going to get a -2. Oh, man. Let's play Scene of the Crime. The options I think I've got in front of me is to continue investigating at the Foul Swamp. Let's just see what the Foul Swamp says. Can't heal horror, can't hands horror. That's fine. That's not causing us any issues. That. Or I could move into the ritual grounds. But I don't want to end my turn there. But I do take a card and draw. No, taking the horror. I'm only got 2 horror. Don't want to do that either. I don't need resources. Second action, I'm going to draw a card. Yeah. Hey, yes. Yes. Right. Going to pay 2. It's a fast card. So it doesn't cost me any actions. Going to play Working a Hunch, which gets me a clue at my location. Why didn't I do that turn 1, action 1? So I get my clue. This is going to be tight, so tight. I've got one action left, but bloody Rougarou's aloof. My final action would be to move into the ritual grounds, which I don't want to be there. Third and final action. This could be a misplay. Pay 1. Play Zoey's Cross. Play Zoey's Cross. That's it for the investigation phase. We move to the enemy phase. Right, so hang on a sec. Keep forgetting this. Let's go back to the investigation phase. First of all, dragged under. Test agility 3 versus 2. I'm 2. Auto fail. That's fine. So dragged under stays in. I didn't deal any damage this turn, so Curse of the Rougarou is going to kick in. I am down to 1 sanity. This is going to be the problem. This is going to be the problem. So we move out of the investigation phase. We move into the enemy phase. Boggator's not got Hunter. Rougarou's not got Hunter. Dark Young Host hasn't got Hunter. No. We move out of the enemy phase. We move into the upkeep phase. We get our actions back. We ready any exhausted cards. We gain a card. Machete. We gain a resource. We're at 3. Okay. We come out of the upkeep phase. We go into round 12. We go into the Mythos phase. We add a Doom. It's at 6. Agenda 2A is going to kick in. So we go to Agenda 2B. 2B says, a clash of thunder roars through the sky and you reel in pain from the sudden explosion of noise. Your vision doubles and bile leaps up your throat. A lone howl returns the call of the sky, echoing throughout the bayou. You wrench yourself off the muddy ground and find your bearings, unable to shake the feeling that you're running out of time. Shuffle all copies of On the Prowl from the encounter discard pile in the encounter deck. On the Prowl. On the Prowl. On the Prowl. On the Prowl. We shuffle those into the encounter deck. The Catweasel cut. If the Rougarou is in play, find a non-bayou location with the fewest clues on it. Move the Rougarou until it enters that location. Well, we're going to do the same as what we've been doing all the way through. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 3. So it's going to be here. It's going to be one of these two. 1 to 3. No, it's going to be Auburn Park because that hasn't got any clues on it. So the Rougarou is going to move down to Auburn Park. So it's going to leave this location. It's going to leave this location. And it's going to leave this location. Why did I stack up brackish waters? So we take all of the doom off of the agenda. And then we go to agenda 3A. Agenda 3A says, tendrils of slime ooze from the bogs, crawling over the tree roots and grasping at you as you pass. The air hangs heavy with a noxious heat. You feel as though you are sinking deep into the bayou, sinking beneath the heaviness of the dark black sky and the rank mist. Forced. At the end of the investigation phase, if the Rougarou is not engaged with an investigator, add 1 doom to the agenda. Delightful. The flipping lightful. Right, so that we've done that, and we're going to draw our encounter card, which is going to be Cursed Swamp. Test will 3. For each point you fail, take 1 damage. I'm 4. 4 versus 3. 4 versus 3. Cultist -2. If the Rougarou is in your location, reveal another token. So I am at 4, so I'm down to 2. I take 1 damage. So I'm down to 4 damage. We move on to the investigation phase. Right. First action. This is game breaking. We're going to move into the brackish waters, which means we become engaged. So first of all, dragged under kicks him. When we leave our current location, we take 2 damage. We're down to 2. We become engaged with the dark young host. And it's got spectral mist there, so I'm going to put that there as well. We become engaged with the dark young host, so I'm going to tap Zoey to gain a resource, taking me to 4. I'm then going to tap Zoey's cross, spend 1 resource to deal 1 damage to the dark young host. So I'm down to 3 resources. Oops, down to 3 resources. Curse of the Rougarou can bite me because I have done damage this turn, whatever happens. And then what we're going to do is we're going to attempt to fight the dark young host. Second action is to fight with the machete. So we're at 5. 5 versus 4. Just checking, because Spectral Mist's in play. It says each skill test performed at attached location gets +1 difficulty. A fight is considered, as effectively a combat skill test. So the way I would, in my head, work it was the dark young host would go to fight 5, because it's +1 effectively. That's if I'm playing that wrong, I don't know, or I get -1, but it says +1 difficulty. So I'm fight 5 with the machete. It's fight 5 with spectral mist. I'm going to chuck my other machete into play to give me 6 versus 5. 6 versus 5. -5. -5, I miss it. -5, I miss it. I think that's game. I'll have a go at evading it. But it will be 3 versus 2. 3 versus 2 to evade it. This is it. 3 versus 2. -6. We don't evade it. That's it for the investigation phase. We go to the enemy phase, and Dark Young Host is going to do us 2 normal damage. So we're down to 2. Oh, sorry, no, we're down to 0. And he also does 2 sanity and kills Zoey. Dark Young Host kills Zoey. So unfortunately, we got to round 12, and Zoey hasn't been successful, unfortunately. She does get 1 victory point because no clues are on Orbidan Park. Yeah. Okay. Bit disappointed, I must admit. Curse of the Rougarou, absolutely, in this game, is an absolute beast. Absolute beast. Yeah, got to be unlucky. Drew all three weaknesses in the game. This scenario is very you got to be clear on your actions, and I don't necessarily think I was particularly clear on my actions there. I think I did the best I could with what I got. All right, so let's pause there. Let's get across to the scenario tracker, and then we'll just update everything. All right, I'll see you in a sec. Okay, there we are over at the scenario tracker. So you can see Jackie's got her win under her belt in, I think, 13 rounds. Zoey, unfortunately, one XP, but a loss in 12 rounds. So in the next scenarios, Jackie and, well, Zoe's got a bit to prove, but you can see from the tracker there, you can see what the next scenario is going to be. It's going to be Carnival of Horrors, one of the other early standalone scenarios produced by Fantasy Flight. And this time round, we'll give Zoey an outing first, and then we'll do Jackie. We'll split it up because otherwise they get a bit of an advantage by playing it. I haven't played Carnival of Horrors for some time now, so I'd be interested to go back to that. But I hope you're enjoying this fun playthrough with a little bit of XP decks going on. And I hope to see you on the next one. Like I say, got a subscriber goal of 500 in the next 6 months, so that would be really helpful if you could, if you're enjoying what I'm doing and enjoying the playthroughs and enjoying me noting all the mistakes I make in editing as we go through it, then I'd really like you to subscribe and comment. Please comment and let me know what you think of the decks, how you think I'm playing. Good, bad, indifferent. Be good to get some experience comments in the chat there. But that's it for now. I'll take care of yourselves, and I'll see you all on the next one. Ta-da!